Hey everybody, this is Mace1370 and I'm back for another pre-release Gatecrash queue. Let's see, what do we have in this pack? Alms Beast looks like a pretty massive creature for 4 mana. Does have the lifelink clause, but seems pretty good. I'm going to select it for now. Let's see what else is in the pack. Veteran, I think this guy seems pretty solid. I think the downside for him is that if you don't have Battalion, he's pretty bad. Like a 3/1 for 4 is not that exciting. Boris Kieran I think is pretty solid. 1/1 double strike is not bad. Shamble Shark is okay. Cloudfin Raptor, pretty good. Skin Brand Goblin seems pretty good as well. It's a decent 2-drop. It's just better than your average 2/1 since it has the Blood Rush ability. And I think Court Street Denizen can be pretty strong if you get enough white creatures. I think Naturalize is a sideboard card. So yeah, I think we'll take Alms Beast here and see where the draft takes us. It'd be nice to be able to play Orzhov. I think that it sounds like a pretty cool guild and seems pretty powerful as well. So let's see, Ooze Flux. Remove 1 or more 1/1 counters from among the creatures you control and put an XX Ooze onto the battlefield, where X is the number of counters removed in this way. This seems okay, but pretty slow. This guild mage seems pretty good. Being able to turn your lands into 4/4s is definitely a pretty powerful ability. There is Gift of Orzhov in this pack, and this looks like a pretty powerful enchantment. 1/1 flying and lifelink. I mean, this turns pretty much any creature you have into a huge threat. I'm gonna take it for now. Bearing anything else? I don't think so. I mean, Basilica Guards is pretty sweet. I would like to pick up a few of them. I don't know where I stand on Syndicate Enforcer. 4 mana seems like a lot for a 3/2. Having another Extort trigger seems nice. Burst of Strength. I've heard this card is okay. Disciple of the Old Ways seems pretty good. Massive Raid seems decent to have like 1 or 2 of them in your deck. I've liked Metropolis Sprite so far. So looking at this pack, we have a Syndic of Tithes. I think this will probably be the pick just because, it's a 2-drop, it has Extort, which is probably important if you're going into Orzhov, and seems pretty good. Nightwatch seems okay. Arrows of Justice, I guess this card is probably better in Orzhov than it would be in Boros, which is kind of weird since it looks like, it's a Boros card, technically, with a little Boros symbol in the background. But Boros wants to bash in, I feel, and this card is kind of like slow, or not slow. You have to, you basically don't get in for the turn on it with a given creature to make use of this. It seems much better when you're on the defense, I think is what I'm trying to say. And Orzhov seems like it wants to, play defensive games. Boros wants to play aggressive games. So Arrows of Justice to me seems like it fits better in Orzhov. I think Psychic Strike is fairly mediocre. This guy, I played with him in the first draft that I recorded, and I'm still kind of unsold on him. I think he's probably not great, is where I think I'm going to come down on him. Alright, what do we have here? We have a Knight of Obligation. A 2/4 Vigilance is pretty good, and he has Extort. And we have another Extort Syndic of Ties here. So the question, this is pick 4, and we've been past a Gift of Orzhov, a Syndic of Ties, and now another Syndic and a Knight of Obligation, and this is the second Court Street Denizen. So I think it's safe to say that white is probably open. We haven't seen a whole lot of black. I think that's okay. I think we can be heavy white and still play Orzhov. So is Syndic of Ties better than Knight of Obligation? I guess Knight of Obligation is probably better. 2/4 seems like a pretty good body, and it has Vigilance and Extort, so that seems pretty cool. I don't know, I think this is close. I think Extort likes to have a lot of cheap creatures, like Syndic. But a 2/4 Vigilance seems like a pretty good body to have, so I'm going to take that. And let's see what we have here. What is this? Vizkopa Confessor. 1/3 Extort for 5, so that's pretty expensive. And when he comes in, you may pay any amount of life, reveals that many cards from his hand, and you choose one of them and exile them. Okay. Well, I don't see really much else here that I really want. I don't know if this Tiger is very good or not. 2/3 seems like an okay body in this format so far. The life gain might be relevant. Corpse Blockade is also, I think, decent. I guess we'll take this guy just to see how he does. presumably by like turn 4 or 5 or whatever, they're not going to have too many cards left in their hand, so you might be able to grab something juicy with them. Here I think we probably want Dutiful Thrall. What does Undercity Informer do? Sacrifice a creature, target player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until, oh I see. So this guy's a mill one. So I don't think we really want to mill. Bane Alley Broker seems pretty sweet. This is like a rogue on a little like buffed up looter. But I think we want Dutiful Thrall. I think this fits in well with Orzhov because it's a cheap drop, so you can use it to trigger extort, and pay the extort cost, and also it's a great defending creature. So I'm pretty happy to pick that up. All right. Well, there's a Gateway Shade. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Protection from multicolor doesn't seem very effective to me, and I think Shattering Blow is probably sideboarded best. So I guess we'll take the Gateway Shade. We've been pretty heavy Orzhov here from the start, so I think that has turned out well for us. Like we first picked an Orzhov card, and then the Orzhov seemed to flow, and it seems like, for the most part, barring the last pack, and even, Gateway Shade seems alright. It seems like Orzhov will probably be open for the draft. So here we have a Spy or a Nab Squad Commandos. We could also take Shielded Passage, which is basically a fog. I feel like we can get this card later. I'm just going to take the 2/3 flyer. We need some way to get in damage, and 2/3 flyer is a pretty decent body. I've been liking this format so far. I've done 2 or 3 drafts after the one that I recorded, and I had recorded one of those. I got a pretty good Simic deck, and sadly I had the audio kind of jacked up, and so there was a really bad echo effect. So I will not be able to post that, or if I did, it probably would not be well received. Alright, this pack is kind of a mess. There's really nothing. Maybe I'm overrating Boros Kieran. It seems okay to me. So Mortis Strider, I guess this is okay if we have like multiple extra triggers, which we do so far. So I guess I'll take this guy. Maybe we can splash blue. I don't know if this guy is really splash worthy. I feel like he's probably not. Alright, well, there's another extort guy here. I don't think Holy Gates is very playable. It looks like this format is pretty heavy on 4-drops. This is just what I've noticed so far. It's really easy to get loaded up on these things. So I think you really need to prioritize low drops, so maybe it was correct to take Syndic of Ties there over Night of Obligation. Alright, well, so we could take Midnight Recovery. I don't think that's that great. I think we just take Dimir Guildgate here. I don't know if we want to splash that Mortis, whatever it was called. So between Tiger and Purge the Profane. I guess Tiger's probably better. I'm not planning on playing that one though. So I've been pretty happy. I'll take a white card here. I don't think Holy Gates is very playable though. I've been pretty happy so far with this pack. We've gotten some good cards. Gift of Orzhov and Alms Beast especially. So I think now we need to focus on our 2 and 3 drops and removal and maybe 1 or 2 in-game type creatures. And I think we'll end up with a pretty solid deck. So in this pack, we have a Basilica Guards, a Smog Elemental. There is a Godless Shrine, so I could take that if I want the tickets. How much is Godless Shrine worth? Let me go check. Alright, well, it is worth 4 tickets, so maybe there is something to be said for taking it here. I think the pick to take, so to speak, for the deck would be Basilica Guards. I'll take the Godless Shrine, just, for values. So just pretend that there's a Basilica Guards in this spot. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a Mystic Genesis. So this is a 5-mana counter. Oh, and you put an Ooze into play. That's not terrible. I think I prefer the, I have no idea what it was called, but it was in Time Spiral, I think, and it was like this flying squid thing, and you would get a flying creature for XX, where X was the cost. So here it's between Syndic of Ties and I guess Killing Glare. We don't have that many 2-drops. I feel like Killing Glare is probably a decent removal spell. So there's also Orzhov Keyrune. I think Killing Glare is probably better. I don't think we're getting either of those on the wheel, unfortunately. So there's another Confessor here. There's Death's Approach. Molten Primordial. This is a big creature. So it kind of active treasons it. Yeah, so it's like a 6/4 haste plus active treason, all rolled up into one card. Seems pretty strong. So another Confessor, which we could take. We could also take a Death's Approach. I guess I'll take the removal spell. I don't know how good this will be. I feel like late game this will be at least solid. You know, and then early game is probably not that great, but that's fine. I think Orzhov Charm is probably the pick here. Return target creature you control and all auras you control attached to it to their owner's hands. I mean, just the fact that you can destroy target creature just like flat out is pretty awesome. And you can even return it to the graveyard from the battlefield. Yeah, this card seems pretty awesome. So we're going to take that. I think World Charm is also pretty good. Creatures with flying can't, or without flying can't block. This turn means that you, I think, pretty reliably get in with most of your guys. I don't know how often you're going to gain control of all permanents you own. That seems fairly situational. And then the damage to creatures with flying is also fairly situational. But the first ability seems good. Shanktail seems like a pretty good Blood Rush card, but yeah, we're definitely just taking Orzhov Charm. So here we could just take Angelic Edict. I think that's probably what we're doing. Oh, actually, maybe we take Devour Flesh. Interesting. So this is obviously better early game. This is better late game, and I don't know. The fact that this can hit anything, I guess, is nice. I'm gonna take the Devour Flesh. That could be wrong. Maybe even Death's Approach is just better. Another Orzhov Charm. All right. Oh, and there's a Grizzly Spectacle too. I think Orzhov Charm is probably better though. So far, seems like we're doing it. Prophetic Prism versus Corpse Blockade. I don't think we're splashing anything yet. And Corpse Blockade, I think, is actually a decent 3-drop. It defends pretty well. So I don't think we want a Mortis Strider or a Shadow Slice. So I guess it's between Smite and Debtor's Pulpit. Target blocked creature. I feel like we'll probably be doing some blocking as Orzhov. So Smite's probably pretty good. Debtor's Pulpit seems pretty expensive. I guess Smite is the pick. So Smog Elemental came back around. The Basilica Guards did not, which is to be expected, I think. So there's probably one other Orzhov player at the table, and he probably got a ton of late Orzhov cards because we passed a ton. So we'll take the Smog Elemental, I guess. So we got a lot of removal this pack, and so now I think we just need to focus on creatures. Double Orzhov Charm, Smite, Death's Approach. Oh, the Orzhov Key Rune table, so that's pretty cool. I was not expecting that to happen. So I think there's probably one other Orzhov player at the table, just based on what we've seen, because there was a Syndic of Ties in that pack, and really no other Orzhov cards, if I remember correctly, and the Key Rune came around, so it would stand to reason that there's one other player at the table. Alright, so we're not milling, so we're not taking Paranoid Illusions. Scorchwalker being here so late seems a little weird. Balustrade Spy, I guess, is the pick because Murder Investigation just does not seem very playable to me. I mean, getting a bunch of 1/1s I guess is okay, but spending a whole card to do it, and it's like, they have to kill your dude first. Here I guess we just take Shielded Passage, but I don't think it's that playable. This card seems pretty good for Boros. I mean, everything getting 2/2 until end of turn seems pretty strong to me. I don't know if we'll play it though. I don't think we have that type of deck. Smog Elemental, I don't know if this card is like super good or mediocre. 3/3 flying creature for 6 is kind of a tough pill to swallow. The fact that all of the opponent creatures with flying get -1/-1 though means that Smog Elemental, I think, probably reacts or interacts, I should say, with enemy flyers pretty well. So maybe he's better than I'm giving him credit for. And ending on a mountain. Alright, so going into this pack, or the third pack I think, we just need to fill out our early curve still. We picked up a lot of removal in the second pack, so I think I honestly might even just prioritize creatures instead. That said, we did not open very well here. I don't really see a single card that like jumps out at me. This guy seems awesome if you're in Simic, but we're not in Simic, so he seems less awesome for us. I don't think Dying Wish is very playable. Yeah, Simic Charm is good, I guess, if you're in Simic, but we're not. Daring Skyjack, I guess, is a 3/1 for 2, so we could just take it as that. I don't think we're playing Boros Elite. I don't want to play Millennium Gargoyle. This card does not seem that great, and we're already like full on 4-drops, I think, like very full. So I guess I'm going to take the Skyjack here just to have a 2-drop to maybe trade with theirs. That's a pretty miserable first pick, though, I have to say. This pack also looks pretty bad. We have Aerial Maneuver, which is a decent trick, I guess. We could just take Prophetic Prism. You know, it's like a low casting cost card. It cycles and it triggers Extort, so that's not the worst. Alright, well here we have another Night of Obligation. So I think going forward, I think I will value Syndic of Ties higher than Night of Obligation just because of the 4-drop clogging problem, I guess. Like, I'm not taking a Gutter Skulk. I mean, I will take the Knight here just because it is way better. But a 2/2 is, with Extort, I think, is probably higher value. There's really nothing else here for us. I mean, I would be surprised even if the Gutter Skulk tables, just because the other Orzhov player will likely take it. Okay, so here we have an Arrows of Justice, there's a Court Street Denizen, there's also an Executioner's Swing. So like I said earlier, we have a decent number of removal spells, so maybe we want the Denizen. Let's see, how many, so this is whenever a white creature enters the battlefield. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, so we really don't have that many white creatures. So then the question is, do we want Executioner's Swing or Arrows of Justice? I don't know what's better, actually. They're both reactionary. I feel like Arrows of... Oh. No, I mean, Executioner's Swing is probably just better, right? Because they both have to... this you have to block, and then this is just if it dealt damage at all, which includes blocking, and it... -5, -4... -5, -5 is better than -4, -4. So I guess I'll take that. Okay, so here either a Debtor's Pulpit versus a Gutter Skulk. No, this pack is not going as well as the other two did, that's for sure. I think Debtor's Pulpit seems like it's pretty good, but I want more creatures, and I want cheap things to trigger Extort off of, so I'm going to take... Yeah, am I really taking a Grizzly Bear? That just feels wrong to me. Millennial Gargoyle is not what I want. Yeah, I'll take the Debtor's Pulpit. I don't know, it could be very wrong. So here we have a Guildgate, a Thrall, and a Basilica Guards. I think we take the Basilica Guards. They seem pretty strong to me. What is this? Oh, Rite of Precinct 6. Alright, well, this guy is probably okay. He's a cheap creature, so he's a 2-drop. He's probably, you know, like, bad on turn 2, I guess. But once they get a creature or 2 in their graveyard, he's pretty decent. Armored Transport is probably really not what we want to be doing. Okay, so here we have Skybinder's Staff and Night Watch. I guess we'll just take the Orzhov Guildgate just to, you know, make our mana a little better. Here's the wheel. There wasn't anything in this pack, so we weren't getting anything on the wheel. We could take Riot Gear, which I don't think is playable, or Shielded Passage. I guess Shielded Passage. And here, I guess we probably take Aerial Maneuver just to have the trick. Yeah, at least one of the rats wheeled, which is nice. I guess we'll take the Key Rune here. Alright, so the third pack was pretty bad. I mean, we got Basilica Guards, and I guess the rat's tabled, so there's that. But yeah, we got Basilica Guards and really not much else, I felt. I mean, I guess Executioner's Swing is okay. I wonder if, because we passed so much Extort in Pack 2, if someone jumped in to Orzhov. It's possible. I think overall, though, we ended up with a fairly solid deck, despite taking the Godless Shrine in Pack 2, which I guess would have been a Basilica Guards. I think it'll be fine. Alright, well, let's see. I think we're putting in these awesome gold cards. Probably Death's Approach. I'm just throwing everything in for now. We can take stuff out later. I think we're playing either of those. Probably that. We'll see. The 3-1 is a maybe. Alright. So we obviously have way too many 4-drops. So in terms of the 4-drops to take out, probably the Tiger for 1. Maybe a Balustrade Spy. And we need to take out 1 or 2 more things. We could take out this Skyjack. I feel like our Gutter Skulks will trade just as well, and this guy's a little more vulnerable to removal. Maybe this guy is just better than the Skulks. I can't imagine that we're going to be doing the Battalion thing very often, though. So let's see. Devour Flesh, Dutiful Throw, Smite. So everything else feels like it has a place. The Spy, I guess, is maybe a little out of place. I guess it depends on how I think I'm going to win. Do I want to peck in with flying damage? I feel like that could help, for certain. Or am I just trying to win up Extort triggers? I feel like having some flying damage is probably advantageous for me. And I like the fact that this guy synergizes a little bit with Death's Approach. I guess that's kind of cute. Oh, and we have Orzhov keyring too. That's another thing. Alright, let me think. I think Dutiful Thrall is definitely staying in. We have removal. So we could just take out a random Gutter Skulk, I guess, for 1. He's basically just, in there to chump block and have a cheap Extort trigger. We could even take the second one out, I guess, if we really had to take something. I prefer not to, though. I don't like going really below 14 creatures in general. I think Debtor's Pulpit is fine. Maybe, I don't know, Devour Flesh, maybe? I think Devour Flesh is probably the weakest of our removal spells. It's either that or Death's Approach, I guess. Death's Approach seems kind of more situational. You really need, I guess they need creatures in their graveyard, and maybe sometimes that doesn't happen. So we could take that out. Smite seems probably just better than Death's Approach. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is okay. I think I want to keep Corpse Blockade in. It's a pretty good defensive creature. So yeah, we'll do this, I think. Add lands. Moto wants to do 9/8. That's probably correct. We do have more black than white. So we'll do that. We'll take out a Swamp and put in a Godless Shrine, and take out a Plains and put in an Orzhov Guildgate. Alright, so I think we're running this. I'd like to get this card in. We just don't have that much mill. So this card, I feel, like in my mind, is more situational for our deck than Smite is. Like, we're almost always going to be able to block a creature, but there might not be a creature in the graveyard for like an extended period of time, if the board stalls out and we're just sitting there. So Death's Approach could be dead for a while in some situations. And then in terms of like Skyjack versus Gutter Skulk, I think that's probably close. I guess Skyjack is probably better. Like a 3/1 probably trades with more, and there's not that much removal. And like a lot of the removal actually cares about power, like destroy target creature, with like power less than this, or I think there's like, is it Dimir Charm, like power less than 2. If they have like one damage removal like Bomber Core, then I guess maybe put in the Gutter Skulk instead. But in a vacuum, maybe Skyjack is better. I've kind of convinced myself, so I think I'm going to do that. On to